Welcome to the 2007 Race Across America. We're here at the pier in beautiful Oceanside, California for the start of this year's race. It might not look like much right now, but soon this area will be teeming with activity as crews and hundreds of fans prepare to send their riders off on a journey that's become known as the world's toughest race. An unparalleled odyssey that will not only cover 13 states and 4 time zones, but will take them on a trip to the innermost depths of their very being. Traveling day and night against a clock that never stops, terrain that is unforgiving, and weather that really just doesn't care. Every competitor will be tested to his or her physical and mental limits. I know, I've been there. I'm Alan Larson, the 2003 solo champion, and your host for this year's Race Across America. It's known as the world's toughest race. A 3,000-mile transcontinental, non-stop battle on 2 wheels. A brutal, torturous, almost inhumane challenge considered by most to exceed the threshold of sanity. Competitors, straining their physical, emotional, and spiritual limits, push themselves to the edge and beyond, all in an effort to achieve what only a thimbleful of humanity have ever attained. Racing against a clock that's always ticking, this testing ground, where only the brave choose to go, requires the competitive cyclist to stay on the bike for 22 hours or more every day, for 9 consecutive days. Sleep deprivation wages war on the body as well as the mind as racers suffer hallucinations and delusions, losing touch with reality. In this war of attrition, only the strongest will survive. As endless days blur through the sleepless nights, inevitably, some will fall victim to RAAM's brutality. Historically, only half those who've tried have ever succeeded. However, beyond the pain, past human limits, lies the finish line of Race Across America. Here we are, just moments away from the start of this incredible event. Now in its 26th year, RAAM has once again broken all records with 192 riders representing 12 countries. Though the odds and pre-race predictions are leaning strongly in favor of the 3 returning champions, it's hard to ignore the incredible amount of experience and preparation present in the rookie field.
My name is Richard Vollerbrit. I'm from close to Sydney, Australia, a little place called Moss Vale. I broke the record across Australia, the Guinness Book of Records for the Across Australia record, and we got an invite to come to ride at RAAM.
My name's Jeff Oatley. I'm 37 years old from Fairbanks, Alaska. Been doing endurance racing for a few years and some racing in Alaska in the wintertime and multi-day stuff up to 5 days, 5.5 days. Qualified for RAAM in the Fireweed 400 last year and just pretty quickly got captivated by the idea of trying it.
Another rookie getting a lot of pre-race attention was Canadian Larry Optis. Having spent the last 10 years of his life focused on RAAM, including crewing Kevin Wallace's 2006 race, Larry was considerably more prepared than the average rookie and looking for more than just a race.
I'm here to be competitive, and more than that, at the end of the race, I'm here to prove that the power of spirit is alive. It's alive, and it's alive in each and every one of us. And I'm here to show that. I'm here to pull out something special within myself that I know I'm capable of.
Regardless of the usual hype accompanying each year's rookie favorites, the amount of talent and, more importantly, experience residing in the returning champions will be difficult, if not impossible, to overcome. Experience is an unspoken prerequisite to victory. Without previous RAAM experience, winning is nearly impossible and has only occurred in 3 of the past 25 races, and each time with a degree of circumstances out of the ordinary. Leading this year's champion picks is Yuri Robic, who is anything but ordinary. Though an unexpected case of pneumonia forced an early withdrawal last year, Yuri believes that this experience has only strengthened him.
I just ignored all these symptoms showing before the race, and that was not good. I thought, like Danny said, I'm untouchable. I can do everything, but I'm only human being with flesh and bones and blood, and that's the good experience I had last year. And
it's that experience that Yuri plans on tapping into in this, his 5th RAAM, which to Yuri is a race like no other.
Race across America is the toughest and the greatest for me and for a lot of people around the world, and it's some kind of drug, you know. Every year, you know, say myself is the last time, but this year is for sure the last time, yes. Don't laugh.
Also stating this to be his final race is 3-time RAAM champion Wolfgang Fasching. With even more experience coming to the line, this Austrian sports hero and conqueror of Mount Everest can put RAAM into proper perspective.
Mount Everest is a dangerous mountain. You know, when you go up Mount Everest, you can die. Mentally, I think that the race across America is much more difficult than going up the Mount Everest, because it's not that dangerous, but mentally you need much more power to come from one side of America to the other side of America. Physically it's almost the same, but it's all in the mind. If you don't have your goal where you want to go, you don't finish the race across America and you won't come on top of Mount Everest.
Like Mount Everest, RAAM dictates who will and won't succeed. It's that respect for the race that gives Wolfgang an advantage.
Well, I'm not here to win, I'm here to ride the race. I'm here to ride the RAAM. RAAM had meant a lot to me in the last years. It brought me a lot, it gave me a lot. Of course, I want to make a good result, but it's not only to win. I'm here because it started with RAAM and I want to finish it off with the RAAM.
For most competitors, just making it to the start line represents a victory. The required planning and logistical preparation imperative to a successful RAAM begins months and in some cases years earlier.
For the last 10 years, it's something that's always been on my mind every single day. It's been sort of the catalyst for all the training rides. All the races that I've done up until this point were all preparation for this race.
No, I don't have any charity. I'm racing just for my own reasons and because it's really expensive, and it took me 10 years to really save up for this race.
So many details demand attention, well beyond the obvious physical training demands. Assembling, organizing, and training a crew, sleep and nutritional requirements for everyone involved, clothing necessary to accommodate extremes in terrain and climate, from sweltering desert heat to the freezing overnight lows of the Rockies. All the equipment must be reliable and readily repairable for RAAM's constant changing conditions. Provision for as many unforeseen obstacles as possible, with further provision for even more unknown difficulties. All of this organized into a constantly moving caravan aimed at achieving the objective, crossing the finish line. Leading up to the race, these logistical pressures weigh on the minds of the rider and crew chief alike, as they know, in RAAM, the slightest irritation will magnify exponentially over the course of 3,000 miles, challenging the sanity and success of the mission. A chafing seam in the shorts, an abrasive personality in the crew, physical or mental failures, all can act like a grain of sand, either blinding and disabling, or like the oyster, produces a pearl of immeasurable worth when overcome, the RAAM Finisher's Medallion.
Everything's ready to go?
Yes. Let's go.
Excellent. How good's that?
Is it called pre-RAAM race jitters? So I had some of that, if that's what it was, and hopefully I'm going to come good.
We just want to finish. We're we're trying to show that someone with diabetes can actually make it across this. That's our goal.
I have the best crew on the face of the earth. I'm feeling great. They just got me through this morning so far, which is a good, huge feat.
Along with the 25 male soloists, RAAM 2007 welcomed the largest women's field in nearly 15 years, with 5 female soloists competing in the division, including the first ever 60-year-old female, Patty Riddle.
Last year, my husband and I did the two-person RAAM, and I had, strangely enough, a really good time. I mean, I was exhausted, I was tired, but I suddenly realized this is something I can do. And so a friend of mine said, well, why don't you try RAAM next year solo because you'll be 60? And I said, okay.
Other women included Lauren Fithian from the USA, Canadian Kirlin Vandenbolk, and Hanna Ibertova from the Czech Republic. Bringing some Team RAAM experience to the solo women's field was Carrie White. As a diabetic riding in support of Team Type 1, Carrie would be facing challenges above and beyond what RAAM normally dishes out.
As a diabetic, you're essentially trying to maintain control of your blood sugars to work at the same level as any normal person whose pancreas is working. And a normal person's A1C reading stays at around 3.6 to 6. Being an ultra-endurance athlete, I've made it more difficult for myself. It's very challenging. And I don't have an A1C of 6.5. I have an A1C of 8. So every day I'm striving to, get that baseline level of blood sugars at the normal levels.
Also facing challenges unprecedented in Race Across America, competing in a division all his own, was John Spurgeon.
My name is John Spurgeon. I'm 37 years old from Hillsboro, Oregon. I'm here to do Race Across America, and I guess the reason is because I qualified.
Now less than 6 miles separate him from his goal. Last year's point of demise now behind him, the amount of power and sheer determination being delivered to the pedals was plain to see. Even so much as a rest break was out of the question. Cojones grande, John was on his way to the top.
Those are pretty big balls you got.
Yeah, you get to do this in RAAM now if you want to.
There's got to be something beyond that. You serious?
I've been riding fixed for the last 3 years since Furnace Creek 508. I heard about the guys doing fixed gear there, and that's kind of what got me into ultra cycling in the first place. Qualified and thought that might be a little much pedaling downhill for RAAM, so I'm going to be coasting. I've got a couple of bikes, single speed. It's not really about the bike anyways, it's about just continuing to move, and mental and physical and that sort of thing.
So how do you feel? What's going through your head right now?
Don't ask. I mean, the race like this, before the start, you must be a little bit nervous and scary, but after the start, it's gone and it's just race. It's normal. You must be, You must have respect for this kind of race.
After the 13-mile neutral start zone, racers gathered at the Old River Bridge for the official race start in time trial format.
Good group. They stayed with me. It's going to be a great race this year. Great race. Excellent race. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I feel good. I feel very good. No injuries. Healthy. I'm excited.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Rocco told me,
Fabio.
Dad, ride fast. Okay.
Fabio, stay to the right on the bridge or some glass.
Okay.
Okay, you're gonna.
2, 1.
Bye. Ciao!
Ciao!
Starting in reverse chronological age order, Larry Optis at 28 years old was the last starter, and RAAM was officially underway.
Good luck. Go for it. Showtime, Larry. Let's go, Larry.
Bye guys, thanks.
My dream is, first of all, just to be here. The second main goal is I want to be the first Brazilian on a solo category to complete the race. And I guess if I can do it, I'll be more than glad just to finish the race.
Eu sei que eu vou estar bem qualificado.
The first obstacle racers encounter out of Oceanside is the climb up Palomar Mountain. Though the route foregoes the actual summit, 6,500 feet of climbing is a good warm-up for what lies ahead. With mild temperatures so far, the lead pace was very high through the opening miles. The solo race is off to a great start, and to no one's surprise, Yuri Robic is again out front and went out very hot. What is a bit surprising, however, is that he's already overtaken 2 of the 24-hour teams. He's being followed closely by Wolfgang Fasching, Richard Volebret, and Fabio Biasiolo, about to come into Time Station 1 here at Lake Henshaw, California.
It's probably not even hot enough for you yet, right?
Nah, it's bloody freezing.
You'll look good to this afternoon, maybe.
I'll look good in 10 days, mate. Don't worry about that. See you later.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
Well, the worst thing that's happened to me is I started to pour a bottle of heat over my head. Thought it was water.
That wouldn't be so good.
But we recovered.
Though the mountains always provide a challenge, most of us cyclists are used to them. However, RAAM's current course through Southern California offers a more formidable foe. From Time Station 1, the route descends over 4,000 feet into one of Mother Nature's cruelest environments, the Mojave Desert.
Coming from Alaska, 3 months ago, I was racing in 40 below. I didn't get on my road bike till April 5th for the first time. There's a lot of physical differences in that. I don't know how my body's going to hold up.
Even with this year's relatively mild temperatures, desert heat is always a dangerous adversary. Racing through this sinister sub-sea level wasteland, hydration is not only important, it's critical for life itself. As a multiple RAAM finisher and the only person to do a double 508, Steve Bourne of Hammer Nutrition is one of the leading experts on endurance nutrition.
Hydration is really important, and like everything in life, balance is key. Typically, the average rider will need somewhere in the realm of 20 to 25 ounces per hour, plus or minus 3 to 4 ounces on either end, depending on the weather. The key thing to remember is that the human body is not capable of replenishing its losses anywhere near the rate that it's losing it. When you take in too much fluids, you can run into some serious issues with water intoxication and hyponatremia, which is low blood levels of sodium. So again, the key is balance.
He's taking more in, obviously, than our original plan, but given the heat, that's what we want. It's what we want to see. He's taking in about twice as much as originally scheduled. We knew we'd be dealing with the heat of the desert, so this is really just a modification of the plan we already had. It's no big deal. We're also dealing with the heat, so we're giving him half loads of some of his food. We don't necessarily get the chance to train in the heat like this, but we know it's coming.
By sunset, everyone had fared quite well through the desert temperatures, which were quite mild this year, topping out at only 100 degrees. Entering the first night, RAAM's 3 previous champions were in a tight race for first, having opened up a small gap on the field. A quick stop before Blythe tightened the 3 leaders to within minutes as they entered Arizona. As darkness falls on night 1, riders and crews are faced with the age-old question, should I stay or should I go? A number of different strategies exist. For many, especially the rookie rider, it makes sense to get rest on night 1 in an effort to avoid aggravating the inevitable sleep deprivation issues synonymous with RAAM. However, the physical and mental stresses intrinsic in this war of attrition often make sleep difficult, if not impossible, on night 1.
Well, the human organism is really programmed to have periods of rest, and in RAAM, the rest part of the equation is is limited. You can't have an 8-hour rest period and win in RAAM, or you can keep up.
With efficiency being the key to success in this race, the best choice is always, until sleep is mandatory, stay on the bike.
Did you get a good rest? Do you feel revived?
No, nothing at all.
In RAAM, problems will occur. It's just a matter of when. Some are expected, while others attack quickly, without warning. Unfortunately for some, these setbacks occur much sooner than anticipated and at distances far less than they had trained for. Patrick Autissier, already suffering sleep deprivation, was realizing his greatest fear.
The major concern would be to get a good sleep. I mean, the sleep is the key on this race.
I mean, I haven't slept since the beginning of the race, and I really need to have a good quality sleep, maybe three hours to move on to the next step.
Though he was trying to sleep, Patrick's effort was in vain. Determined to avoid another DNF, he had his daughter Estelle along, encouraging him to reach the finish line. Without some rest soon, however, Patrick's speed and motivation would continue to decline, making an official finish in Atlantic City near impossible.
She wrote, "Whatever it takes," and refused to stop. But it's tough to do that.
Not even 36 hours into RAAM, and 4 riders are almost in Utah, opening a significant gap on the rest of the field. Favorable winds have been pushing the leaders throughout the day, resulting in some big mileage totals. Still out front is Slovenian Juri Robic, who's in this for the love of the race.
My passion is the way of life I'm living now, because I'm in love in cycling, all my life till I was a little kid. And it's some kind of way of life, it's a habit. I cannot imagine that I must stop training, I must stop living like a sportsman, I like what I'm doing, and it's coming from my heart. I'm not doing this for the money or some material things, because if I'm doing that, I stopped a lot of years ago. All these things involve cycling in my life. It's making me happy, and that's why I'm doing that.
Ask any RAAM soloist why they race, and you're likely to get different answers. There is no rational explanation as to what drives someone to this degree of insanity, other than it's in our blood.
From a medical standpoint, I don't think it's possible to explain why people undertake a race like RAAM. It is beyond what we would consider to be the limitations of the human being, but I think what we're seeing is the individual transcending human limitations, pushing themselves to a level that most people would never consider, that we don't necessarily think is healthy, but it goes beyond the physical. I think it's almost a spiritual thing.
Unlike traditional sports driven by mega-million-dollar contracts, the RAAM soloist is driven by something deeper, an element foreign to the majority of the human race and literally impossible to define. The amount of training, sacrifice, and suffering that embodies this event cannot be bought with a price. No prize money is big enough or even necessary. We ride because RAAM is there. One of the most difficult challenges a RAAM rider faces is the mental struggle of solitude. Not seeing another cyclist for days is not uncommon. As a non-drafting, limited proximity race, it's actually nice when the competition is close. Outside of Flagstaff, taking advantage of the 15-minute proximity rule, which allows 2 riders to chat side by side, the 2 women's leaders are battling it out for first, though it's really too early to matter. At this point in the race, it's just nice to see another cyclist, even if it is your nearest competitor. Nearing Monument Valley, one of the most spectacular sights on the route, Australian Richard Vollerbret carries on unconcerned with the pace of the leaders up ahead.
Yeah, going really well. He's just sitting in a nice little routine and just pumping along. He is flying, absolutely flying. Looking better and better the further it goes. It's a long way to go, and making sure Richard's pretty good. He sort of says when he feels he needs to rest or anything like that, but he's just sitting really nicely.
How much rest did you get last night?
Yeah, had a bit. We stopped for 3 hours sleep, and we had a massage that we started this morning and just kept going. So we'll just play it out, see how he feels, and keep going like that. We can't play to the way everyone else is riding. We just ride the way he wants to.
Living the dream, Brenny. Living the dream, mate.
While the solo field's making its way across the country, relay teams are back in Oceanside gearing up for their own race across America.
Hi, my name is Kit and come to you live at the starting line of the Race Across America in Oceanside, California. Thank you for coming out, and we'll see you on the other side in Atlantic City.
With 2-, 4-, and 8-person teams comprised of men, women, or both, the list of team divisions is extensive. Unlike solo RAAM, the teams share the pedaling. Taking turns gives them a chance for rest while their teammate continues on. Just how they decide who rides and when is a big part of the team challenge.
We're really compatible, actually. She gets, well, she likes to climb too, but I got to talk first. So I get to do all the uphills, she gets to do all the downhills. She likes to be up all night. I hate it.
I agree with Nicole. I don't think we'll have too much conflict. We are very compatible, splitting up night and day, and we both hate the heat.
She I like to be up at like 4, 5, 6 in the morning. She hates it, so we're actually really well matched for a team.
The highly competitive 4-man division has been dominated by Colorado's very strong, well-organized, and experienced Beaver Creek team, who last year even beat the corporate 8-person Team Type 1. Like the solo division, however, advantage follows experience.
Well, we've learned a lot over 5 or 6 RAAMs. We've definitely improved our techniques every race and gotten better at organization and going faster and faster. And again, it goes back to safety. We're not going to be able to win or get any kind of record if only 2 or 3 of us are riding. If someone hurts themselves, you're not going very fast. So be safe, be careful, and we go as hard as we can. And we don't really go very long. One thing we've learned over the years is to go, fairly short. We usually don't ride more than 20 or 30 minutes at a time per person.
Of the 16 teams competing in the 4-man division, newcomers Team Psycho may have the talent it takes to challenge Beaver Creek Catlin.
Team Psycho is putting together a 4-man RAAM team this year as a celebration and culmination of years of hard training on the triathlon scene and the long-distance mountain biking scene, and trying to challenge ourselves in a new way at a much, much longer distance.
RAAM's best quality lies in the hearts of its participants, the ability to transcend human limits for the greater good. Nowhere can this be more apparent this year than in the case of Team Aries Angels. Riding with virtually no cycling experience, Aries Angels are raising awareness as well as funds to battle an elusive disease.
Neurofibromatosis is a genetic disorder that affects 1 in 3,000 births. Its hallmark symptom is it causes tumors to grow on the nerve sheaths all around the body, both inside and out. One of the other side effects is scoliosis, which is what my daughter has. My daughter was diagnosed at just about 2 years old, and she had an 88-degree curve in her spine. Since that time, she's had 14 surgeries to lengthen her spine and straighten her spine, and in August last year we fused her spine. So we don't know what's going to happen with Ari down the road. We can only cross our fingers and hope we're done. But rather than do that, we're riding for a cure.
3, 2, 1.
It's astonishing how much of the country RAAM covers at any given time. Traveling at an average speed over 22 miles per hour, the lead relay team will catch the end of the solo field in Colorado, but won't catch the lead solo rider until 3 days later in Ohio. By the time the winning relay team crosses the line, it will be over 1,200 miles back to the tail end of the solo field.
Hi! Is it Ross?
Yeah, still
Hey! RAAM is so cool, Ross! I'm having a great time!
Still loving it.
I am! It's hard, but I'm having a great time. I love it!
It's incredible to be out here, man. It's a
gift.
Gosh, I'm in heaven. I love it.
Okay, calm
It's
down
great.
and save the energy for your legs.
Do you have a way that I can get all that energy that goes to her mouth to her
It was
legs?
so much
We can make it
fun.
across
I
in
love
5
it.
days.
Oh my gosh, it was so cool.
The gap continues to grow between the 4 leaders and the remainder of the field. The good weather that pushed them across Arizona and Utah, however, is long gone. As they approach the Rockies, rain is beginning to fall, as well as the temperatures. Cool is good, but add wet and you get cold. As for these 4 front runners, this is RAAM. Stopping is not necessary. Forging ahead will not only maintain their body temperatures, but will increase the distance back to the field as well.
Okay, I think Wolfgang is looking good. He's looking forward to go up this mountain up there. I think it's about 10,000 feet, Wolf Creek Pass. It's his 10th tour outside, so yeah, he's doing okay.
Currently in second place, this highly accomplished athlete is not only doing what he loves, but living out the message he shares with the world.
The most important thing in life for me is make something out of it. Like thinking about doing the RAAM and then doing it. Thinking about going on top of the Mount Everest and doing it. And I like it to motivate people, if it's my team or people around me, motivate them to do things to reach their goals. Just do it. Don't say you want, but do it. And that's what Wolfgang Fasching is about.
At 10,857 feet, Wolf Creek Pass is obviously the highest point on RAAM. What's not so obvious, however, is explaining just how difficult this climb really is. If I were to tell you that it's over 7% grade for greater than 8 miles, that still doesn't quite put it in RAAM perspective. Consider this. Wolfgang Fasching has ridden over 900 miles on only 55 minutes of rest and is making this climb look effortless. It's no wonder why. He's a 3-time RAAM champion. Also approaching the Continental Divide on less than 1 hour's rest, just 90 minutes up the road from Wolfgang, is leader Yuri Robic. It was this climb last year that put an end to Yuri's bid for a 3rd consecutive championship. Now, hours ahead of last year's pace, Yuri is showing no sign of weakness whatsoever as he slowly continues to increase the gap to Wolfgang, redefining the meaning of the Great Divide. However strong he's riding though, he knows, just behind him are the world's strongest endurance cyclists.
I think the main competitor for the winning this year will be for sure Danny Weiss and Wolfgang Fasching. Danny Weiss last year won as a rookie, but we know he has a lot of experience with this kind of races. He won a lot of ultra races before. Wolfgang Fasching, we know who he is, and if he's showing his hair in the start, that is for sure that he's prepared well.
RAAM poses a massive number of challenges to athletes and crews. Logistical, mental, physical, all are in a continual state of flux. RAAM's nutritional demands, however, challenge everyone and affect every area, making nutrition possibly the single most important aspect of the race. The nutritional demands that RAAM places on the body are staggering. Most athletes consume 7,000 to 9,000 calories a day in an effort just to maintain the physical body and keep it moving. Imagine consuming that much food in a day and still needing more while constantly exercising.
Fueling for the RAAM rider is equally as important as any equipment they're using, any training program that they've employed, and if you're not putting the right fuel in the right amounts in your body at consistent levels, it doesn't matter how great the bike is you're riding, and it doesn't matter how hard you trained, the body is simply not going to perform appropriately or adequately. Think about being on the bike for 22 hours a day for 9-10 days or more, and properly fueling the body is absolutely imperative. What you put in your body determines the kind of energy you're going to get out of it. So a liquid fuel such as Perpetuum, which contains complex carbohydrates, some protein, and a little bit of healthy fat, is a meal in a bottle, so to speak, but in a form that's just so easy for the body to digest and assimilate and convert to energy. That's the type of fuel that the smart RAAM rider will be using.
Almost 24 hours later, the leaders have made their way through the Rockies in the face of a lot of nasty rain. Further back, though, the sun is shining as the bulk of the solo field makes their way up the massive climb of Wolf Creek Pass.
Gotta do RAAM just for this climb. I can't believe this scenery. I can't believe the climb. My son's out there. We left Durango about 5 hours ago. He's had one stop and he's doing 7 miles an hour plus coming up this grade to Wolf's Creek, summit of Wolf's Creek, and I can't believe it. I'm just flabbergasted. He's doing very, very well. I'm very proud of him. It's a great race. Go, Pete. Go, buddy. Looking great. Yahoo!
Writing in support of Kids Help Phone, an anonymous phone-based counseling program, Peter has a different outlook on RAAM than some.
I'm looking at it as just long days. I'm not looking at it as a race. I know how to ride my bike. I love to ride my bike. The further I go, typically the more money and things we're going to be able to raise for Kids Help Phone. I know that it's not going to be pleasant. So when the going gets tough, suck it up.
Awesome day out here.
That is.
Couldn't ask for any better than this.
Anyone who attempts RAAM is going to have to suck it up at some point in time. To willingly choose this magnitude of physical and mental stress defies all sense of reason. Even having raced twice, I look back and wonder, whatever possessed me to do such a thing?
Well, I think it takes a special person who has targets or goals in mind, and they've set a goal that is seemingly not unattainable, but not attainable by the average person.
Raising the bar even further, the sanity of John Spurgeon's single-speed decision was about to be tested.
I've been very concerned about how I'm going to be able to climb when I do get fatigued. I don't know how I'm going to react to that. I can certainly walk if I need to. I've done that before. I'm not ashamed to say I've walked. Many people who ride fixed at one time or another hit a hill that's just too steep to ride up. I've gone up 18 to 20% grades before when I'm fresh, but like you say, at the end of RAAM, who knows what I'm really going to be able to do.
As John began ascending the route's largest climb, it was apparent he was seriously fatigued. His mental fortitude, however, though strained, was not breaking. An interesting corollary of single-speed bikes is the speed at which you must climb. John was literally flying up Wolf Creek Pass, faster than any of his competition. He had to, as there is no easy gear to spin up the mountain in. The trade-off, though, was these bursts of effort come with a high price tag.
Hey, for what it's worth, you're going faster than the other guys are. Of course, I don't know that that's by choice or by necessity.
Oh, it's by strategy. See, I'm about to rest.
Sorry, the paparazzi say, John.
That's right. They're taking care of me. How you doing?
A little winded.
Julia was right though. It's the first time we've seen you huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
You like our light on?
We did finally take the water bottle off, so I should go a lot faster this time.
Oh my gosh! Wow!
Are you going down right now?
John, what else is there to do?
Team Type 1, powered by insulin pumps and last year's experience, are leading the relay teams through Monument Valley. In the four-man race, newcomers Team Psycho are not far off the powerful pace being set down by Beaver Creek. It will be interesting to see if Psycho can stay close to Beaver Creek as the race goes on and experience becomes a larger factor as fatigue sets in. In 7th place, just beginning to enter the Great Plains, Jeff Oatley is riding strong. 4 days into this race, however, this leading American is really just beginning to experience RAAM. As a rookie, Jeff's previous experience in Alaska's I Did a Sport Challenge, though quite different, has given him a strong foundation of mental focus.
It's a human-powered race on the Iditarod Trail. You can go 350 miles to McGrath, or you can go all the way to Nome, 1,100 miles. You can bike it, ski it, do it on foot. No help from outside the race except for at checkpoints you can get food. It's a race, but it's an adventure. There's a different mindset. A lot of really fast guys come up to do it, and most of them don't do very well because the pace. You don't dictate the pace. Alaska dictates the pace.
As the race enters its middle third, the 1,000 miles through America's heartland, the physical and mental strains begin to accumulate. This portion of the race is critical. The majority of DNFs occur here as coma-inducing boredom weakens mental resolve and the physical strain takes its toll.
The physical challenge is obviously very great. The cardiovascular system runs 24/7. The muscles, the skeletal system, they're going to hurt. They're going to hurt real bad, but when it really comes down to it, it's the mental challenge that is the biggest and the hardest to overcome.
One of RAAM's most distinctive yet invisible attributes is the mindset. Anyone can see, and to a degree, understand RAAM's excessive physical burden. It's the mental aspect, however, that truly defies description and makes the physical even possible. To the rider, it's not even a question or consideration. There's just an unseen force deep within that demands the body's compliance, regardless of pain or fatigue. Without the mental resolve, regardless of physical ability or conditioning, RAAM would be literally impossible. Though historically only half those who start ever finish, the attitude going in must be quitting is not an option. Be that as it may, as RAAM inflicts its brutality, invariably for some, quitting becomes the only sane choice. Though physical symptoms are usually cited, the breakdown is more often than not mental in nature. Hoping to avert this all-too-common problem, Tom Seaborn plans on tapping into his martial arts training.
Taekwondo was a sport for me that taught me discipline, the kind of discipline you need for the RAAM, where you're training all kind of different training, strength, flexibility, endurance, and also that mental conditioning. And in Taekwondo, it's not as much about endurance, but it's about that focus, and that's what you need to complete the RAAM.
Richard Vollebredt was enjoying eastern Colorado's striking similarity to his native Australia. Riding his own pace, with a completely laid-back, I could care less about the leader's attitude, Richard seemed to be enjoying his race.
How you going?
Going well. How about you?
Not too bad. Better today than yesterday. But...
Feels a little more like home here, you were saying.
Oh, the terrain, yeah, like outback Australia is a bit like this, flat and open.
Surprisingly, RAAM's frontrunners usually make it past the halfway point with only 3 to 4 hours of sleep. It's the second half of the race where sleep deprivation really becomes apparent and takes a gruesome toll. Separated by less than 30 minutes, Daniel Weiss and Gerhard Gulowitz are battling it out for third, with Fasching up ahead within striking distance. However, the lack of sleep was catching up with both of them.
He's been following his our plan of like a steady pace that we want to keep throughout the race, but then this afternoon he got quite tired again, and we had a short power nap. But after that, after those 10 minutes, he was going strong again, basically until just about an hour ago or so. About an hour ago, he really got tired, and we said, okay, a little bit further, and then we decided, oh, it's time to sleep now. Let's have an hour's break and carry on afterwards.
I think the whole group is really close together.
Yeah.
And my plan is I want to take a long rest, recover, and then I start to push. Maybe it works, I don't know.
You're going to take a long rest tonight?
Yes, I did it. I did long rest now for 3 hours, nothing, only rolling. And after rest I want to go fast.
Okay, very
maybe
good.
Maybe it works.
We'll see.
We started off pretty good today. There's obviously, like most of the riders in this stage of the race, problems with his butt, but we fixed that, I think. I mean, that's not the problem. And today he got a little problem with his knees. I think it's more like exhaustion, that's what our doctor says. It's compared to last year where he was so sick with the pneumonia and everything. I mean, it's just, you can see how much the guy is an animal. If he can make it like last year in the later stage of the race, where like, I think the last 16 time stations last year he was had the best times. If he can do that this year, then I think anything's possible.
While the lead solos are making their way through Missouri, Team Type 1 is also out proving that anything is possible, having already passed the majority of the solo field. With a blistering pace of almost 23 miles per hour, the team of 8 diabetics appears to be unstoppable. Armed with freestyle navigator monitors and other new diabetic technology, this group of 8 riders are laying new foundations for diabetics everywhere and possibly even non-diabetic endurance athletes.
And we're out here to prove to, kind of show an example to people with diabetes and even people without diabetes. We can do anything and everything a person without diabetes can do. No offense, but better if and only if we take good control of the disease. And so we're showcasing a lot of new technology that's coming out throughout the race to show what we use to take care of this disease so that we can achieve our wildest and craziest dreams.
Team Type 1, controlled by Omnipod insulin pumps. Wireless, so we can race across the country.
Though Team Type 1 has passed all but 4 of the soloists, it's going to be a long time before they see the leaders. A gap of almost 17 hours between 4th and 5th place has separated these 4 Europeans from the pack. At this point, it appears that only these front 4 are truly racing RAAM, while the remainder of the field will just be content with an official finish. A fact that seems to disappoint the leaders, who obviously came to compete.
How come so many Europeans are dominating?
I don't know. That's the way it is. Americans, after Alan Larson quit and Rob Kish, so, unfortunately, there is no top rider.
It's very important for me to make a competition with the best riders. It makes no sense for me to, I could do the race alone with no competition and just go from one to the other side and say I'm the first. I don't know if you know, in Europe we have a big ski race, it's Kitzbühel. And for every ski racer, if he could do the Honeycomb race, it would be his biggest surprise. Not the World Championship, not the Olympic Games, the Honeycomb race. And for every cyclist must be the race across America the biggest surprise. And that's the reason why I'm here.
At Jefferson City, Yuri Robic is continuing to control the race, having slowly built up a lead of almost 5 hours.
You have all sorts of problems, in such a long race, there's everything hurts. But I don't think that it will slow him down, because he's really determined to go fast to Atlantic City, and it was some knee problems, 2-3 stages back, but we said Fasching is closing to you, and the pain was away.
My lunch,
No.
How you feeling?
Fine.
Fine? Saddle sores, knees, normal stuff?
Yeah. Saddle sores a lot, as usual.
Though the race is still far from over and anything can happen, in RAAM you generally don't want to be more than 3 hours behind at the Mississippi River. Though Yuri's lead is comfortable, it's still far from safe, especially when the man behind is 3-time champion Wolfgang Fasching. Arriving at time station 33, some 12 hours behind Robic, Gerhard's chances for a first-place finish are slim. But with Weiss less than 4 hours up the road, first place was no longer Gerhard's goal as he continues on through the Missouri night.
How do you feel?
Better now.
Better now? Do you have an overall strategy for the rest of the race?
I don't know, I had one, but I had to change it. We'll see.
In the 4-man race, it looks like Team Psycho may have found a chink in Beaver Creek's armor, the flats. Approaching the mighty Mississippi, only minutes separate the seasoned veterans from the new kids on the block. Though Psycho hasn't made contact just yet, it's quite possible that the Colorado team of climbers may have their work cut out for them until they reach the Appalachians.
Well, we love the mountains. We live in the mountains, so right here at the start, the California mountains, the Colorado mountains, and the West Virginia mountains are really what we enjoy and what we're best at. Kansas and the flat sections are probably the most difficult for us. But our strength is definitely going uphill, and our weakness is definitely along the flats.
With a name like Team Psycho, however, don't count these hardcore athletes out just yet.
People think in our community that, in our Psycho community, that we're, on the lunatic fringe to attempt this, but it's consistent with who each of us is. We've all done these kinds of long distance endurance events, and in the multi-sport community, haven't done them in single sport or more than a 24-hour event. So it's a challenge to the rest of the guys we ride with and a challenge to ourselves to try to pull it off.
Just miles before the river, Beaver Creek catches Gulowitz, who's beginning to suffer from knee problems.
How you doing?
Fine.
What'd you do to your knee?
It started yesterday, both knees. I don't know. My physiotherapist fixed it.
Is it feeling better?
Not that much, but it works.
It works.
That's important.
That's important.
Like death and taxes, suffering in RAAM is an absolute. No one is exempt, and RAAM holds nothing sacred. As the miles wear on, the fatigue factor multiplies, slowly eroding the body and mind.
Fatigue factor is big. Almost anybody can stay up one night and a day for 24 hours, but if you start stacking one 24-hour period on top of another, on top of another, on top of another for 7, 8, 9, 10 days, then most people are going to break down.
We're in Kansas, headwind, flat. What do? Aero bars, all day. I'm not lifting my head up. Actually, I can't anymore. I'm just looking down like this. So today, that's about the only way I can get my head up.
John was experiencing his share of physical breakdown, but his spirit appeared unquenched. Though the leaders are well into Indiana and on pace for a sub-9-day crossing, John's goal remained unchanged: to get his single-speed bike to the boardwalk.
If I'm tired, I get off the bike. I prop my feet up. It's amazing how much of a difference that can make. I guess if you're trying to win it, you can't do that, but if you just want to get to the finish line, it seems to work for me. I was joking. I'm pretty sure I'm going to make it to the finish. I don't know if I could ride more than an hour at a time right now. I went out kind of hard at the beginning, intentionally thinking that I needed to bank some miles and not fall behind in terms of average speed. But as a result, I wasn't really sleeping that well, and I was taking kind of short sleep breaks, but I was still semi-conscious almost all the time, and it was just really wearing me down.
Also suffering multiple adversities is Jim Rees, who pulled into Yates Center with a common RAAM condition.
Thank God you're here. You're the man I want to talk to. My neck is completely gone, so I need some advice from you if I can.
Though his neck was gone, his positive attitude was firmly intact.
It's okay. I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, this race is throwing everything at us. We've had all sorts of stuff happening, so we're over 1,500 miles into the race now, and the neck muscles are sort of going, and if it just needs a gentle sort of lift up, that'd be great. So, it is what it is. Life throws these sort of curveballs at us, and how we deal with them, how we respond to them is what makes us. Thanks very much, Alan. Cheers.
I'm standing here in Collins, Missouri, where Jim Rees has overnight suffered from Schirmer neck. Ironically, it's this exact same location that 2003 I had to be fitted with a brace for my Schirmer neck problem.
This seems vaguely familiar and extremely miserable.
Schirmer neck is a condition in which the neck muscles completely lose the ability to support the weight of your own head. It's a miserable condition to ride in, and it's going to take a lot of dedication and perseverance for Jim to continue riding.
See, the key thing we've got to try and do is
Get me
stick
down
a
on
force there to keep your head up while you're in the prone position, yeah?
His crew has been working diligently trying to come up with a solution to get Jim to Atlantic City. He's got a long ways to go, and all the off-bike time is really going to hurt him. Surprisingly, Wolfgang Fasching is also suffering from Schirmer neck. A three-time champion who's never had this problem before. I'm sure his crew is really struggling trying to figure out just how to deal with Wolfgang's problem as well.
Well, he's feeling okay, I think. He's not really complaining about his neck, or he's not really saying, oh, it hurts and anything like that. He's just riding his bike, and you see that he got some problems. Once in a while he tells you to help him a little bit. He wants to talk a lot. He doesn't want to hear music, he wants to talk a lot. He wants to hear you and know that you're there. So we know that he's in trouble, or not in trouble, that it's in his way of riding the bike.
Do you ever think of Mount Everest?
Yes.
You do. Did you get frostbite on your feet? How cold was it when you climbed Everest? How cold?
40 minus. 40 minus. On the top. 50 degrees minus. Celsius.
He never had this problem before, and so yeah, we think it's from there.
So what kind of options did you give him?
Well, we gave him a neck brace. We tried out with different kinds of tape. Try to make his head solid, and there were two last options. The one was quit or get as soon as possible to Atlantic City, and he chose the last one.
Over 700 miles back, another type of struggle to survive RAAM was unfolding. The race against time.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I am doing excellent. I just saw the most beautiful sunrise. I'm listening to Faith Hill, I'm the lucky one. Couldn't be better.
For Carrie White, quitting also was not an option. As the last female in the race, Carrie was determined to see this thing through. When faced with the reality that she was not going to make the time cutoff, Carrie offered a reality of her own. I'm riding this bike to Atlantic City.
Let's be honest here, you're kind of fighting the cutoff time right now. How do you plan on, making some of that time up?
I just have to keep riding my bike, shorten my brakes, so there's not so much dither time. It's really just making sure that we have everything in place when I stop, so we're not taking so long. And I have the most incredible man in my life sitting back there in the car who's helping us do that.
Yeah, we need to get more efficient and just keep her moving along. And then when she is off the bike, she needs to either be sleeping, eating, drinking, or doing her morning constitution.
Though Carrie's chances of an official finish are slim, she continues on, driven by something deeper.
I want the diabetic population in the world, or most, in the United States, to realise that you can do anything that you set your heart and mind to. So that's why I feel the finishing part is very important for me, to help people believe that you can do it.
I was in tears yesterday as she was coming in every time station. I mean, she worked so hard. She knew what she had to do yesterday, and she just got on it. A lot of people had just called it good after she knew what she was up against after riding so long, and she just stayed right on it and was determined to go. And she made it. There you go, honey. They'll catch up to you. Yep.
Carry up. Keep going. You're doing great. Good stuff, Gary.
She's doing great. She's been racing really strong. She's an amazing individual. She has overcome just so many things to get here to this point, just even to get to the start. But I think she's shown just an amazing sense of tenacity and perseverance and will. She's definitely one of the strongest people I know, mentally and physically, and she's got the endurance of a bull. So she certainly can get to the boardwalk. It's just a matter of making sure that we keep her fed and hydrated and all that kind of stuff so that we can get her there in a respectable time.
Also riding for a bigger purpose and having a great time doing it are Aries Angels. Along with Shannon's Soldiers, these two teams are out doing everything they can, going far beyond themselves to make a difference.
It's a devastating disease, and as our video says, it's hard to say and it's harder to live with. So we're out here trying to raise funds and a lot of awareness and trying to have a good time while we're doing it, and so far we're succeeding.
When asked why they would go to such extremes, the answer was quite simple.
Well, because I could. I don't know if I have a better reason than that. Everybody's got problems. We got to help them where we can.
It's going incredibly well. I think we're about at least 2 miles ahead per hour than we expected to be. The team has just come together. They're such good friends. I mean, these guys that have gathered around me and around my family and my daughter, it's just, it's amazing. They really are angels.
Sufferers of this devastating, relatively unknown disease are finding hope as people everywhere join Aries Angels in finding a cure.
I think when we add it all up, officially right now on our webpage we're at $443,000 that we've raised so far for this race across America that we're doing with the two teams. But we've got commitments now to get us up over $550,000. So we're quite pleased with the results that we've gotten here.
Way up front, at the other end of the field, was our 8-person corporate team leaders. Already on their final approach across New Jersey, Team Type 1 was flying across the Garden State in a fine-tuned pace line, taking advantage of the strength, or in this case, speed in numbers principle. Crossing the line with an amazing time of 5 days, 15 hours, and 43 minutes, Team Type 1 established a new 8-person record and in the process laid a strong foundation for future diabetic athletes.
Hopefully, not to say there's bigger and better things, but we've got long-term aspirations of fielding all Type 1 team in the Tour de France, and that would never have been possible if we hadn't have first done this race last year to realize that we could achieve whatever dream we set our minds to.
Shortly behind Type 1, Beaver Creek arrived with a time of 5 days, 18 hours, 22 minutes, racking up yet another victory in the 4-man category.
Team Psycho, real contenders, fantastic racers, incredible bike riders, and strong. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare today. We definitely went really hard to the end, and I'm imagining they're doing the same thing. But they gave us a really good run for our money for a couple days. It was some good racing.
Heading into RAAM's final night for the lead solos, the race is far from over. Though Yuri Robic has first place wrapped up, the battle for second rages on. With 4 big back-to-back climbs on this section, it's still anybody's race. Bodies and minds straining the limits of man and machine. Daniel and Gerhard press on, neither willing to relent, both intent on catching an ailing Wolfgang fashion. In situations like this, you have to give the advantage to the chaser.
Are you happy with where you're at right now?
Yeah.
Good.
It's more than I was thinking before.
Good.
And you must know, I catch myself with 2 of the world's best extreme cyclists. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they must go forward. I'm behind them.
Yes.
And I like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're here in Hancock, Maryland, and with only 266 miles to go, only 30 minutes separate Daniel Weiss and Gerhard Gulowitz. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Are you going to catch him?
Not now.
Not now. You're waiting.
We'll see.
It's going to be very interesting to see who can dig deep enough to get them through this final night of RAAM. Both have vowed that they will not sleep until they see the Atlantic City boardwalk. How are you feeling, Daniel? Feeling okay?
Yes, okay.
Are you well rested? Are you going to keep going for a while tonight?
Yeah, tonight. Tomorrow Atlantic City we will see.
There you go.
But I think Wolfgang and Danny and me, we're very close together.
Tomorrow sleep.
Tomorrow, after Atlantic
After
City.
race, yes.
Okay.
First,
well, that means I'm going to have to stay up to film you.
First beer. One beer, big.
By this point in RAAM, the body is driven forward by sheer willpower. Physically, there's little left. The body, deteriorated and weakened, cries out for rest. Though the mind says go, I'm almost there, oftentimes the body has the final word.
Skeletal muscle, as opposed to the heart muscle, is really geared for periods of rest, so it's going to break down after a while. You can't just keep using it over and over and over. The tendons that are attached to the muscles, you're going to develop irritation of the tendons, generally if you overuse things. So basically you're pushing everything to the limit, and on top of that, you're depriving yourself of sleep. So the whole thing could fall apart at any time.
Near Rouserville, Pennsylvania, Gerhard Gulewitz has caught and passed a stunned Daniel Weiss. One of the most demoralizing blows in RAAM is to get caught, especially late in the race. Though Daniel had vowed not to sleep, it was a promise his body just couldn't keep. With Weiss out of the picture, Gerhard continues his pursuit of Fasching through the Pennsylvania night. Through Gettysburg, Wolfgang Fasching's battle scars are apparent. Suffering severe Schirmerneck and fatigue, Wolfgang reveals the brutality RAAM imposes.
Vielleicht gibt's da Larsens und Faschingsneck jetzt.
That is very terrible, or?
And how is it affecting him as far as him wanting to keep riding?
It changes like from hour to hour. There are hours where it doesn't affect him, and sometimes it affects him, but now it's okay for him. He has accepted it, and yeah, he will do it until the finish line.
Okay. Is it hard to see him riding?
Tut dir das weh, wenn du
Is it
zuschaust?
hard to see this for you?
No, a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's RAAM.
With Gerhard close behind, Wolfgang chooses to go down for a necessary but unwelcome sleep break. As Gerhard closes in, Wolfgang rests, his crew helplessly standing by, waiting for info on Gerhard's progress. After a short rest, Gerhard is close enough, so Wolfgang gets back on the road determined. Surrender is not an option. Statistically speaking, Wolfgang's lead was significant, but not safe. The general rule is that a lead of 10% or more of the remaining distance to the finish is insurmountable. In other words, Wolfgang had 200 miles at the point of his sleep break. For Gerhard to have a fighting chance to catch him, he would need to be trailing by 10% or less of that remaining distance, or 20 miles. Historically speaking, this 10% rule is rarely, if ever, broken, and only in the case of a complete physical or mental breakdown in the leader. However, Gerhard was only 15 miles back, well under the 10% margin. Add Schirmerneck to the equation, and the math gets complicated. The race was on. 3,000 miles of non-stop racing not only wears on the rider, but the crew as well. And one of the most comical, yet distressing twists I've ever witnessed on RAAM, Gerhard's van flats. Rather than fix the flat while pacing Gerhard with their auxiliary van, the crew chief decides to do a complete van swap, including the stereo system, while Gerhard lays by, wasting valuable time. Up the road, before sunrise, Gerhard's crew stops him again to switch the vans back. It's been said that a crew can't win the race, but they sure can lose it. Though we'll never know for sure, this may have cost Gerhard second place. Early Tuesday morning, the race for first is officially over. After going out hard, as usual, Yuri Robic slowly distanced himself from the rest of the field. Crossing the country with his winning time of 8 days, 19 hours, and 33 minutes, Yuri Robic becomes the third member of an elite trio of racers to ever win 3 Race Across Americas.
3-time champion, Yuri Robic.
Though Shermerneck threatened his goal, Wolfgang Fasching showed everyone why he also was a 3-time RAAM champion. When faced with the options, Atlantic City as soon as possible, or DNF, he simply responded, "My name is Wolfgang Fasching. I do not quit." Refusing to surrender in spite of his demoralizing neck issues, Wolfgang survived the attacks from Gulowitz and Weiss, holding on to a second-place finish with a time of 8 days, 23 hours, and 20 minutes.
Und eine Umarmung. Schaut mal beide her zu mir.
I had problems like I've never had before. Pain in the hands, the knees and my neck. 4 or 5 days in, I could not hold my head up. It was horrible. I never thought about Yuri, only how to improve my situation. I am very proud that I finished the race, even though I had all of these difficulties.
As the second Austrian to finish on the podium this year, Gerhard Gulowitz improved on his 2006 performance, shaving off nearly 42 hours. Though he was unable to reel in Fasching this year, look for Gerhard to continue his climb up the podium in future RAAMs, driven by his intense love of competition.
I like to race. I am not a training person. If you would give me a big schedule with lots of things on it, I hate it. I do it, it's important. If you don't do it, you have no chance to be a good sportsman. But what I really like is to stay in a race. And this year it was really a race. We bet each other. It was a competition. Danny was unbelievable.
Back out on the course, the race was far from over for what remained of the solo field. 800 miles back, however, RAAM is not about winning. It's about survival, finishing what was started, regardless of adversity, pain, and fatigue. Yes, the winners have crossed the line, but RAAM is never over until the last survivor fulfills the dream, finishing the world's toughest race.
Did you ever start to lose the motivation that you had for doing the race?
During the race?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, oh, there's definitely times to a really large degree where it's just like, this is just stupid.
Yeah. Everything seems to be going along right on schedule. We are delighted with how well he's doing. His neck is holding up okay. His attitude is really good. His attitude's always been good. He was rather spacey a couple of days ago. But here in the last day or so, he's been looking much more aggressive, much more alert. The expectation is that when I talk to him, his legs are doing good, and he's pretty much ready to roll. All right, John, you man, come on in.
You're amazing.
Approaching the eastern seaboard, only one thing remained between John Spurgeon and a landmark, barrier-shattering single-speed RAAM finish, the Appalachian Mountains. With 2,500 miles behind and numerous grades of 9% or more ahead, John's resolve was weakening.
At this point, I feel like I'm doing it for everybody else, more so than myself.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay for now. You know, you're the one that's hurting, okay? Regardless of whether it's true that this is stupid and useless, that might be true, but that's not a reason to quit.
Having already ventured into territory no other RAAM rider has dare gone, John had crossed the Rubicon. Even surrender at this point could easily be considered success. Though John was obviously struggling up the hills, the real, more distressing struggle was waging war invisibly in his mind. A mysterious paradox. In the midst of RAAM, every rider's reasons, so clear in months prior, come under the scrutiny of rational thought at a time when the physical and mental strain should make rational thought impossible. For the RAAM racer, however, rational thought process is the last thing you need. For Jim Rees, rational thought would mandate a DNF. But like most RAAM athletes, finishing was the only option.
I'm glad to see I'm not the only idiot out there willing to persevere through Sherman.
There's nothing going to stop me from doing this and finishing it. Absolutely nothing.
Unfortunately, it's time to be mean. Take the 15 minutes, and it's going to have to be 15 minutes.
I don't know whether we got that one sorted.
When we're talking 15 minutes,
I think I'll be more refreshed if I have half an hour and then bang, I'll go through.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because I can get some
Well,
soup in
remember
me.
the 20 minutes we had
Okay,
last
20
night?
minutes and 10 minutes
Yeah.
for soup and
we
stuff.
spent 5 minutes negotiating.
Or we can argue
so what
for
are we going
5
to do?
more minutes.
Yeah. Then I'll still...
This
You're
counts
gonna
against your
take
time,
it
you know.
here? No, that's their challenge. no, that's in my pocket. I get that still.
Jim's neck may have failed, but his mental focus and attitude were as strong and positive as they were on day one.
Sherman neck, you know, it's just something you have to deal with, isn't it? We talked about it before. It's one of life's curveballs. You know, we all get stuff thrown at us through our childhood, through our adulthood, and we can use those as excuses to, you know, hide under them and stay under the rock and say, well, I wasn't the only child, or I was adopted, or whatever. We can use those excuses, or we can use them to our advantage and say, well, because of my parents' divorce, I was stronger and I got out more and I had more friends at school. You know, we can always turn those things around. Always turn them around.
Every year, RAAM produces so many amazing stories, it's impossible to cover or even know about all of them. But one more inspirational ride belongs to David Jones. Back from last year's disappointing DNF, David was determined to finish what he started.
So it's another riding all night, ride all day.
At 61 years old, David was on pace for a new 60-plus record, though it seemed to be the furthest thing from his mind.
I think I've got a good shot at finishing.
You just keep on a roll and it shouldn't be a problem.
I wasn't so sure about that. I've had a couple of really down moments when I was ready to quit. At the Mississippi River, I was just babbling incoherently when we got there first thing in the morning.
David did set that new course record, finishing with a time of 12 days, 1 hour, and 15 minutes. As we wrap things up, the final results are in. In the men's solo field, Yuri Robic came in with his third first-place finish, followed by Wolfgang Fasching, Gerhard Gulowitz, and Daniel Weiss. The first American was Jeff Oatley in 7th. With one of the largest solo fields in RAAM's 26-year history, surprisingly, only 5 of the 25 solo men DNF'd. The normal failure rates are about 50%. The solo women's field suffered the worst fate of all, with all 5 not officially finishing. However, Carrie White defied the odds and, regardless of being dropped due to time cutoff, continued on, driven on by her intense passion to prove to herself and other diabetics around the world what's possible. Over in the two-man division, medical problems forced the DNF of last year's winners, Team Body Exchange, leaving IWC Schaffhausen the holder of this year's title. Team Phoenix finished as the only two-woman team, while both two-person mixed teams DNF'd, and Vachetta edged out Velocraft in the recumbent race. To nobody's surprise, Beaver Creek Catlin took home the four-man title, but not too far behind was newcomers Team Psycho. Watch out for them in future races. With 16 teams in the four-man division, the field was among the largest ever, with the number of teams doing an amazing job of riding in support of various charities. Calira and JDRF finished strong in their divisions, while Team Type 1 dominated their division, as well as the overall race win, sending out a powerful message to diabetics and all of us around the world as to what's possible. Finally, In the 24-hour race, Team Cliff Bar led all the way to Flagstaff.
That about wraps it up for the 2007 Race Across America. From Atlantic City, New Jersey, this is Alan Larson saying, see you again next year.